Hey friends, today I'm installing this FirstNav T13 12.3-inch head unit into a third generation 2019 Highlander. Now this Highlander is an XLE without the JBL radio system. Here's the head unit that's OEM and is coming out of the vehicle, but before it comes out, we've got to get a couple of trim pieces removed. The first that has to be removed is this AC panel. It goes all the way down to the end down there, and that's probably where I'll start to remove this. Also makes the turn and comes right up here to this corner that can be a little tricky because this is pretty thin and this tends to stick. So this is where your pry tool right in here will come handy. This trim piece will have to come out, and the two vents will have to come out. So let me get some of these bits out and I'll see you in a minute. Well, the radio is out, hence the big hole in the dash, and the wiring harness has been connected. Now, the wiring harness is surprisingly simple. All of these plugs are different sizes and different shapes, and really there's only one place you can plug them in. So it's just find the corresponding match and plug it in. Make sure that when you plug them in, they snap so that when you get the radio installed, they don't rattle loose and you have problems later on. Now, some of these won't be used. Here's a good example of that. This one, I don't know what that corresponded to coming from the radio, but this one's not being used. And then there are some supplemental harnesses. And so you don't get this confused. When you open up the package, you're going to get a wiring diagram for this is the main harness, the main wiring harness, power harness, I should say. And it's numbered at the bottom, what each of these plugs corresponds to. Now, their supplemental wires have an additional diagram. Looks like this. Now, this is for things like your radio antenna, your GPS antenna, your USB ports, your SIM card port. Now, one of the things that most of these videos don't show is how to wire something like the microphone, the GPS antenna, your SIM card. Let's start with the microphone. Now, people have suggested several places to mount these microphones. One being above your steering column. I don't like that. I see the point, it's right in front of your face, but there's a lot of moving parts there and a lot of critical parts there, and I just don't see where I can get that wire hidden enough to make that a viable spot. Second spot would be top of the A-pillar on the driver's side. That's okay, but then again, when you come down that A-pillar, down the side, you're going to have to be crossing over the steering column again, making that not a real viable alternative. What I've decided to do is go right up beside my rear view mirror. Now, this will actually come up to the side of this like this, and we'll sit right there. The wire goes up underneath here, tucked under the headliner all the way down until you get here to the passenger side A-pillar. Now, keep in mind, just like it says right here, there is an airbag under here. So what I've done so that this doesn't cross over the airbag is right where this trim piece matches up to the headliner, there's about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of headliner material underneath here. I've gone straight across right under the lip of this so that it's not crossing over the airbag here. I don't think that's a good idea. Comes right through here into the molding for the door, straight down, and there is a panel right here. You pop this off. Comes out of the rubber molding, and we're going to go right behind this panel And what I've chosen to do here is, if I can get my old self down into the bottom of the car, I've come out here. The panel's right on the other side of this hole. And what I'll do is I'll run this back in this area where the glove box goes. I'll secure this back here. I've run it underneath the cover to the in-cabin air filter, and then right out the other side through this hole and straight up into where the radio is. Now, just the opposite, I've come down from that and I've put the SIM card holder here. This will end up dumping into my glove box, and the auxiliary USB ports will also come down here and dump into the glove box. Well, the time has come. We finally get to see the head unit that I'm replacing the OEM with. This one is by a company called FirstNav, and it's a real cool unit. It does a lot of things. It's packed with features and packed with good hardware. And I'll talk about that some more at the end of the video when we talk about features and specifications. But the one feature I want to talk about right now, the one that I'm most excited about, is the size of this thing. Now, most of the aftermarket radios that you get for the 3rd gen Highlanders are 10.2-inch screens. And they achieve that by getting rid of the CD player that's on the OEM and some of the buttons. And so you get a bigger head unit, a bigger screen space. This one, however, integrates the radio with the AC vents, as you can see on each side. So what you'll do with this one is you'll take the actual louvers off of the vent bezels that came in the car, and you'll place them on the back of each side of these vents. Now, what this allows to happen is it allows them to give you a bigger screen size. This screen size is 12.3 inches, a good 2 inches bigger than any of the other offerings. And what it does, I think, is going to happen, we'll see when I get it installed, but I think this is going to make it look like the newer models. You know, the newer models have the real long, narrow, sleek-looking screen. That's what I think we're going to accomplish with this. So let's get this put in the car, and we'll take a look and see if it does what we think it will do. Now, on the back side of the unit, there's not much. There's some main plugs for your power and your auxiliaries. There's also antenna plugs down this side. This is where you're going to put your vent louvers, and you can see they clip right on these smaller clips. There's a good heat sink on the back of this, nice metal heat sink. So I don't think we're going to have a problem with this overheating in the summertime. I'm in a very hot climate area to where we're well over 100 degrees in the summer. So it'll be a good test. So this took me a few seconds to figure out. So let me show this to you so it doesn't take you a few seconds. So these come off with clips, and the clips are right here and here on each side. They're the ones that go under this bridge. So what you have to do is get your little pry tool and lift up over this bump here on each side, and then you do that with a pry tool, and then push forward with your other hand, and it'll come up right through this bridge here and comes off just like that. All right, so when they go onto the main unit, they just slide in to these clips that go underneath the bridge again, and they just clip in. Why don't we take a look and see how quickly this boots up? Here we go. And there it is. One button and your icons. One more button, back home again. And there we go with CarPlay. Nice, rich blue colors. There are a lot of different themes that you can go with this version of CarPlay, the newest version that is. And they're all really good looking. I prefer the blue background a little bit better. Touch of a back button and you're back to the Android home screen again. One of the most common comments that I read about is, will these aftermarket units make my stock speakers sound better? And with the case of Highlander, that's not too difficult to do, but this unit really goes above and beyond for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's a 45 watt output from the unit, which is far better than what you have from factory. Second, there are equalizers, DTS surround, just a number of settings that you can adjust to make this just like you like it. Let's take a look. We'll go into the icons and then into equalizer. There's your equalizer. You see what type of options you have there. We'll go up to DTS here. There are your DTS settings. Surround sound settings, as you can see, I've got this set pretty much right in the middle of the vehicle, but you can go front, back, left, and right with that. Stereo sound enhancement. There we go. Just a number of things that really enhance the sound on this unit. The sound is fantastic. When I ran across this new offering, the T13 from FirstNav, the first thing that caught my eye, and this was a big deal, was the aspect ratio of the 12.3-inch screen. Long and sleek, and looked like something that could come from the factory in a new vehicle. The radio bezel was integrated into the AC vents, which was an interesting idea, allowing for the longer screen and factory look. This was a new offering with few reviews and no videos, so I started doing some research on my own on this unit. Here's what I found. Android 13, 8 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage, a 2K QLED display, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, Bluetooth 5.0, and an A7870 8-core processor, so I knew it would run fast and multitask. When it arrived, I was really pleased. The install was straightforward, as you've seen today, and if you take your time, I would say pretty easy. First thing I would say is read the manual, so you'll know how to configure this unit to your liking. There are almost too many options with the unit. I've had mine for about 6 weeks now. I have it configured the way I wanted, and I'm delighted with the results. So here are some answers to the standard questions that everybody seems to be asking when they're looking at upgrading their 3rd-gen Highlander head unit. Is the screen bright enough so it doesn't glare like the factory unit? Yes, I have very little glare even with the sunroof open. Do I retain all my steering wheel controls? Well, I did, but if for some reason you don't, you can configure everything on screen. Will I keep all the info on the instrument cluster screen? And the only thing that I'm missing is the audio source, but it now moves over to the main head unit. So all I have to do is just look in a different place. Does CarPlay and Android Auto drop suddenly? I've been using wireless CarPlay for about 6 weeks now and have not dropped once. Can you configure a Toyota logo on boot up? Yes, I have the black background with the silver Toyota logo on my boot screen, and I have the one you see now with the light gray on the home page. Can I use a SIM card? Yes, and I would recommend that. Will my speakers sound better? We really covered this already. Mine did most definitely. Can I get factory support? And definitely yes. The FirstNav staff are very responsive. My preferred method of contact is Instagram, but there are other ways that you can contact them as well. They've answered all my questions and answered the questions in detail. So what do I think about this T13 head unit for the 3rd gen 2014 through 2019 Highlander from FirstNav? Well, I think it's a great unit. I really like the colors, the brightness, the display size and orientation. The 12.3-inch screen, it's awesome. It's lightning fast. It's available on Amazon. Just go get you one of these and put it in your Highlander. You'll be happy.